This is the moment you've all been waiting for, if you have a lot of money to buy a big toy truck. Bronco versus Jeep. Today, I'm driving the most capable versions of each, the Wrangler Rubicon and the Bronco Sasquatch. You're watching one of the very first full reviews of the Bronco and the Wrangler, so subscribe because we want to keep doing these comparison videos for you. Right now, I got a lot of trails, I got a lot of roads, I got some roofs to take off, axle lockers to engage. It's time for the fun part. You can't get a Bronco. Even if you try, it's the slowest rollout of a new vehicle in ages. The pandemic, the microchip shortage, factory shutdowns, transportation problems. There's no inventory, and anyone who put a deposit down may not see their Bronco until next year. So be patient and watch me tell you about your new truck. Everything Ford did with the Bronco, particularly with the Sasquatch, was to beat the Rubicon, and they've done it. Breakover angle, ground clearance, tire size, driving modes, you name it. In terms of numbers, most of them beat it where it counts. And you really don't feel a thing in this truck. These tires just soak up everything. It's just so plush. There's 7 different driving modes, and they will control the 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive shift. You don't even have to touch that. It'll engage the axle lockers, it'll change the throttle, other sensitivity in terms of the traction control, stability control systems. It's adjusting all that for you. If you've driven a Land Rover, well, you've had this system for the last 20-odd years. But more vehicles like this Bronco are using it, and it just makes it point and click easy. With the Jeep, there's just a little bit more thinking about it. My only concern is it's just a little too wide. This vehicle, 5.5 inches wider than a Wrangler Rubicon. I mean, that's kind of wild. It's just, it's good for stability, but you gotta have an open road. Right now I do, but I've also been on sections where I've had to maneuver very, very slowly. And for that, Ford does have some technology. They call it Trail Turn Assist, which is essentially a trail-based torque vectoring system. It breaks the inner wheel to tighten your trajectory on a trail. That's the same thing that Porsche and other sports car manufacturers, luxury car manufacturers will put on their road vehicles to do the same thing on the road. But here, Ford knows that the vehicle's so darn big that they've got to do something. Ford also has what's called one-pedal driving. And it's not an EV, but if you take your foot off the gas, it will apply the brakes without you having to touch the brake pedal. And that's really, really helpful, especially if you're rock crawling. Just get a little bit of extra control. These are things that you don't absolutely need, but they're new features, so you might as well try them out. Nice and easy. Rocks, don't need to worry about it with an 11.5-inch clearance. And that's another thing about these tires. They're just a little cushier. And I really can't wait to try that Wrangler once it comes with the same exact size spec tire, because it's coming on the Extreme Recon package that you can order. But for now, right now, the Bronco is king in this department. Another great thing about the Bronco is that if you buy one, you get to be part of their off-road school. They call it the Bronco Off-rodeo. It's kind of a cute little name for a tough big truck like this. But you can go all across the country, and the school is included. Unlike with Land Rover, you have to pay for that. But it's pretty nice. You can really actually beat up the truck. It's not your own. You go with real instructors, and you've already paid for it with the price of the vehicle. So actually feeling what that capability is, pretty good. Or you can just do what I'm doing and just drive wherever the heck you want, like over this giant rock. And then I just shake off the rocks and accelerate. Feel that nice turbo boost? This thing moves with 300 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. It's odd that it works so well, because you would assume, hey, I need the one with that twin-turbo V6, and that's the one with 330 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. But I just want to tell you right now, I don't think you do. I really don't. There's just enough power. Way more than I expected, and it sounds good. There's not much noise coming through the cabin. And now that I'm driving on the road, there's actual steering feel. In the Jeep, it's doing this. I've got to correct, especially on the highway, but not in this Bronco with the Sasquatch package. Part of that is due to the independent front suspension. The Jeep has a live axle, a solid axle. That's more of an old school device that's really good for durability. It doesn't break, but that independent front axle that this Ford has really does contribute to both the steering precision and the handling confidence. And yeah, the Jeep is really good off-road, but the Bronco is really good off-road and it is better on-road. So that's a major difference. There's no compromise with the Bronco. And the Jeep, well, you're always compromising. I would rather be in this vehicle because 95% of the time you're on pavement. Another Bronco benefit are those mud terrain tires. I don't really hear them. In the Jeep, they're always buzzing, especially at around 60 miles an hour. You get this resonant frequency in your ear. Doesn't happen in the Ford. I don't know why, and I went a lot faster than 60 miles an hour while I was driving here today. In terms of numbers, this Bronco does more with this 4-cylinder engine than the Jeep can with its V6. Now the one we're driving now is a 4xe and it's got the 4-cylinder hybrid, but the regular 3.6 liter V6 in the Jeep doesn't come close to matching the torque or the delivery, really, of this 4-cylinder. And that's really the most surprising thing. The only bad thing is that the fuel economy is not quite as good as the Jeep, especially not the plug-in hybrid, and even the regular 4-cylinder models and 6-cylinder models all get better highway mileage. With the 4-cylinder Bronco in this configuration, it's about 18 city highway, and the V6 version is 17. So if you're buying a Bronco, you don't really compromise between the 4 and the 6 in terms of fuel economy, but versus that Wrangler, it's hard to say. I've never said this about a Jeep, but yes, a Jeep Wrangler is actually fuel efficient when compared to a Bronco. First impression of the Jeep, you feel a little bit more of the trail. It's a slightly harsher ride because these tires are just not as pillowy soft as the ones in the Bronco. But what I do like is that it's just more maneuverable. Everything I don't like about a Wrangler Rubicon on the road is everything I love when it's off the road, because it's just more placeable. And right now I'm in the 4xe and I'm just driving on electric mode. And I think that's awesome, the fact that you can have this plug-in hybrid powertrain to do that, or I get the Hemi 392, which you can also get on the Rubicon with that big V8. Whoa. That's the thing about this truck. You can just slam it from side to side. Your passengers will absolutely hate you, but you'll be having a great time. Oh man, this is so much fun. Now, Ford may think it has the last word with the Sasquatch, but Jeep got the memo and they fired away a response. It's the Extreme Recon package. It's available for the Rubicon. Gonna be out any day now. That raises the ground clearance to almost 13 inches. It has even greater approach angles, greater breakover angles. It has a bigger crawl ratio of almost 100:1. So they saw the specs on the Bronco Sasquatch. They let Ford win for a few months while the vehicle was barely on sale. And now they're about to just one-up them again. So if you're in Camp Jeep, well, guess what? They've got you covered, and you can go even more extreme than this Rubicon already is. But I tell you right now, at almost 11 inches high, and everything that Jeep knows about building 4x4s, it's just fine by my standards, that's for sure. Oh, that electric torque is nice. That feels really good. You really notice it when you're getting off the throttle and coming right back on. Yeah, that type of torque with the electric motor is so immediate and so smooth. I really could recommend the 4xe for off-roading. Yep, I think you can do it. If you're skeptical, try it. This is much more in the Rubicon's element. All the stuff that you just hate, that I hate about driving it on road. it really just fades away when you're on the trail. This is where it belongs. It's so much nimbler. It's so much more comfortable from a mental standpoint to drive a Wrangler on a narrow trail than that Bronco with the Sasquatch package. Even though I don't have all the technology, I don't have all the fancy trail turn assist, you don't have the 360 cameras, there's a front camera that's available. It doesn't have as many features that can help guide you. But guess what? I can do it old school. I'm feeling the truck, I can see at all four corners. It really is, I think still, I still think it's the king for off-road because it just doesn't pack too many features on here, and the physical size of this is just perfect. If you step down to the two-door model, and as you would with the Bronco, you'll get a more maneuverable 4x4. The Jeep requires some more manual control, so, oh, that was hard, right? I mean, not really. Gotta just shift this lever into too high. It doesn't take much effort, really, but the Bronco everything is automatic. With the Wrangler, you really have to just be more physical with it, like an old school truck. I'm getting on the road now. And just off the line, like, it does feel quicker than the Bronco. Woo. When all 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque come on board, it's pretty good. This is a heavy truck. I think it's even heavier than the Bronco because it's got electric motors, it's got 4-cylinder engine, all the batteries, all that stuff. But it definitely has a little bit more thrust than the Bronco. Certainly feels speedier on the road, and it's crazy to do that in a Rubicon. However, the gearing is just not quite as good as in the Bronco. This is an 8-speed, that's the 10-speed, and I just feel like that one, without the hybrid system, is a little bit better sorted. But with the Jeep, you have so many more powertrain choices. You can get a regular Turbo 4, a V6, a V8, a V6 diesel. There's mild hybrid setups for those. You can get the manual transmission, the automatic. There's about 4 different rear diffs that you can get, different ratios. You can't do all that with the Bronco. Right now, you're a lot more limited in terms of your powertrain and your configurations. So the Wrangler really still, in terms of customization, everything is just so much better. Oh wow, it does turn a little easier. Definitely feels easier to turn and drive than the Bronco. I kind of feel like I'm in a compact car right now, and the Bronco was Bigfoot. I've already tested the Wrangler 4xe in a standalone review, so go watch that one if you haven't already. There's a lot more detail on the powertrain and how this all works. I'm not going to get into that for this video because for all intents and purposes, a 4xe Rubicon is still a Rubicon, and what I'm concerned most of is how is it handling, how is it feeling on the road. And even though the size is better, it's just a little sloppier to drive. No, it's a lot sloppier to drive. Not a full mess, but it's just, there's no sort of feel at all. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate the steering. I have to correct it just to keep it on the course. With the Rubicon, that's how all Jeeps have been ever since I can remember. I don't ever remember a Rubicon actually keeping in its lane without some work. But that's the trade-off that you get with having a vehicle that's so capable on the trail. Personally, if it was me driving every day, I would step down to the Sahara. It still has a ton of great off-road capability, but on-road, wow, it's so much better. Right now, the Bronco Sasquatch towers over the Wrangler Rubicon. It's a package you can order on every trim, and it's standard on the Wild Track and First Edition. This one is the Badlands. In every measure, it's bigger than the Rubicon. But is it better? Ground clearance, 11.5 inches, 10.8. The tires, 315 millimeter wide, 35 inch high, 285 millimeter wide, 33 inch high. It's the Bronco. Crawl ratio. This is the maximum torque available in first gear in low range. The Bronco with the 7-speed manual gets 95-1 versus about 84-1 on the Wrangler. But if you get the automatic transmissions of both, that's only 68-1, and this is 77, so I'll call that a tie. Now, all the angles, I'm rounding up here for ease of reading. Approach, 44 degrees, 43. Breakover, 26. 23, that's actually a bigger difference than it appears, especially over rocks. And departure angle, 37 degrees for both. Now, imagine if this was reversed. Jeep has just put out a brand new Extreme Recon package that basically goes all above what the Ford has or matches it. So, let's take a look at those numbers again. Yeah, we might need another rematch. It's a matter of style, and it really is what camp you're with. Are you with the new Bronco Nation, or are you doing Jeep things? They're both square, they're boxy, they look pretty old, but they're brand new. They're unmistakable, right? You see these things coming down the road, you know exactly what they are. Round headlights, steel bumpers, which I absolutely love. They're an option on both these vehicles, but you gotta have them, because if anyone hits you, well, their car is gonna have a rough time and not you. Everything else, exposed hinges, bolts, screws. You can take the whole thing apart with a socket wrench. Half doors, they're standard on the Bronco, an option on this Wrangler. Really, both these vehicles look like they came out during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And right now, they're brand new vehicles that are meant for your quarter or maybe your midlife crisis. You know what to expect. The same upright, boxy, rigid styling carries over to the cabins. In the Jeep, you get a stitched dash, a beefy shifter, grab handles, nets on the doors, and a sleek infotainment system. In the Bronco, you get all that and more. The screens are larger, the seats are more comfortable. Both have good quality materials. Good, not great. Fit and finish is better in the Bronco. And the roof. In the Bronco, the crossbar is moved behind the rear seats instead of splitting it right here, so you see more of the open sky. In the Jeep, there's only 2 removable hardtop panels. In the Bronco, there's 3. But in the Jeep, there's more roof options. You can get a power folding soft top with the hard top, all sorts of other configurations. And this bar is really handy to hang on to right now. The Jeep's Uconnect system is fast, simple, and has always worked really well. There are apps, Wi-Fi, and it feels fresh. But the Ford brings a lot more tech, and it's not the bigger screen. The instrument panel can show larger graphics when you're off-road. It animates all the driving modes, and it's easier to read than the smaller screen in the Jeep. Ford uses zone lighting, which can independently control the lights on all 4 sides of the truck. And it has more safety features like evasive steering assist. The cameras, they're just flat out incredible. For everyday driving, you'll want the Ford. These trucks are pricey. The Bronco Badlands Sasquatch is $57,000 with destination. The Wrangler Rubicon 4xe is more than $64,000. Any Wrangler will be more expensive than a Bronco. And while both start under 30 grand, it's too easy to add options and all the fun accessories. There's no competition for these two other than the Land Rover Defender, which starts at 50 grand, or the Toyota 4Runner, which tops out at about 50 grand. The Jeep holds its resale value like none other. The Bronco, I'm not sure yet. If you buy a Jeep, you're guaranteed to have a good investment and plenty of part upgrades. The Bronco is too new for anyone to customize it at low cost. This is such a toss-up. On the road, I'd rather be in the Bronco. The performance, the handling, all the technology, it makes it such a better everyday driver than a Wrangler. It just feels a little more polished and slightly upscale, kind of like a Land Rover. Now, off-road, I'd rather be in the Wrangler. It's smaller, it's nimbler, easier to place on the trail, and as a buyer, the Wrangler has so many more choices when you want to spec an engine, axles, all of that. The Bronco is just more limited right now. So what do you guys think? This is the comparison to end all comparisons, and we're probably not going to be done comparing them because these vehicles are going to be out for a long time. A lot of people are going to love them. So tell us, keep watching, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.